and welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy, and I am joined today by my lovely co-host Rihanna.
Hello.
We took last week off because Rihanna was having a busy time of it. She has recently started a new daytime employment opportunity, also known as a DAO.
That's a what?
Daytime employment opportunity.
Oh.
And today we're lucky.
You're an insane person, but I love you.
Today we're lucky that you're here at all because we had an earthquake on Friday and an eclipse today, and we had a dog comet over the week where I accidentally dropped the dog on your back.
Yeah, you gonna share that with the internet?
Yeah, I just did.
You silly man.
Mm-hmm.
I have, for background, I have scoliosis. My back hurts periodically. I laid down to see if you would, gently step on it. The dog was curious,
which I did.
Which you did. And then the doggy was, protecting me essentially, and they were roughhousing, and for some reason this one thought it was a good idea to drop a 55-pound dog directly on my spine.
To be fair, I was trying to use her as a rolling pin.
Didn't work.
Nah, she did not want to be a rolling pin, and I should have been aware of such a thing.
I'm broken.
Yes, I agree, Luna.
You broke me.
She shouldn't be complaining.
You both are in trouble.
So last week we would have talked about April Fool's stuff, so we figured that was kind of an April Fool's in and of itself, that we just didn't have a show. So we figured we would bring it back today. And we are going to talk about some of the April Fool's things that we've done in the past. We'll probably make this a two-parter, I feel like, because I feel like we have a decent amount of stuff to talk about. We still have to get through to our sponsor spot. We'll figure it out, around halfway through this episode. We'll determine whether or not we're going to go into the more recent stuff that we're going to do. But we'll start all the way back in 2015 with one of our first pieces. You can't find these anymore because once the April Fool things goes up, it goes private. I take them away, generally speaking. The fun part about this little dude is we have these glasses.
We do.
Yeah, we have the drunk person glasses,
right,
which makes you feel better when you're driving
right.
long distances. Anyway, the idea was we got this new artist. This was right after we started getting artists, so we thought it would be funny to to have me draw with crayon with my left hand my lovely attempts at some of the art that we already had done.
Popular artist on DeviantArt.
To be fair, for someone who has no artistic talent and having done this with my left hand,
oh, it's fridge-worthy.
It is fridge-worthy, yeah.
It's so cute.
Like a gold star magnet and everything. It was wonderful. But so we'll keep on moving along. We had some jokes where we had a new novella coming that was about Arachnid Boy. So today we're happy to announce the follow-up to Tales of Tellest with Tales of Tellest Volume 2. By the way, you'll notice a lot of times when it comes to our April Fool's content, they eventually do become real to some extent.
Yep.
So
I think, yeah, for a little bit of background, the April Fool's idea snowballed into, like all these things where they actually became part of the Tellest universe. But, the whole point was just to have fun with the world of Tellest in a way of, what-ifing some kind of ridiculous, impossible, maybe pop culture,
some kind of connection.
Yeah, some kind of connection to pop culture, and they eventually become real things typically.
So in Tales of Tellest 2, in this what if situation, we're going to tell you a little bit more about one of the stories that'll be coming out, and it's called Web of Lies, and in it we're expressing a brand new story, something that's never been done before. Reginald Ryder is a young apprentice in the city of Viscosa. He works for one of the premier artists in the outer limits of the capital, performing quick sketches of local events for the artist to improve upon and review for the general populace. One day, Reginald is investigating the odd goings-on at the Spirit River. A strange ship has somehow managed to sail up the river and is inexplicably docked just outside of the city. When he boards the ship, he is shocked to come face to face with a dreaded bone-biter spider. Things do not end well for him, and he is bitten by the terrifying creature. Things like this have never happened before in pop culture. Brought back to town by one of the nearby laborers, he tosses and turns for weeks, his energy leaving his body naught but an atrophying mess of sagging muscles and burning skin. Then, much to his surprise, he begins to feel better. The next day, he is moving about like normal, with an added bonus. Reginald can hoist himself up the sides of buildings without the slightest difficulties. He begins using his newfound power to see the events of Viscosa in a new light, and the people there begin referring to him colloquially as the implausible arachnid boy. With a little bit of dry wit and some interesting twists and turns, Web of Lies is sure to net your attention. It's clearly a reference to Spider-Man.
Spoiler alert.
And the funny thing is, we ended up years later making a character who had a little bit more of like Spider-Man elements and everything like that. We have a lot of characters who are kind of like our ground level heroes, but we also wanted to make certain characters who had a little bit more mobility, a little bit of like upward momentum and stuff like that. We know that like Luca Cregan has the Sky Talon grappling hook, which lets him effectively fly. So we thought it would be cool to make one of his long-term enemies from the original series. We tweaked things so that he gained a new power, and it kind of does that same thing. Like it gives him like built-in grappling hooks in a way that's pretty cool. I think we released that art over the last couple of months, but I'm not sure because at this point we have 1,000 art pieces on the Tellest website. So, anyhoozle.
This we posted this well before the like multiverse Spider-Man stuff came out. I feel like it could be Arachnid Boy is probably like one of the Spider-Man.
And if not,
personas.
He's one of ours, and that's the way that we meet the Marvel universe on its turf. We go very not right sometimes. So one of our favorite little goofy games to play, or used to be, was the Dynasty Warriors Empires games, because you could make your own characters and things like that. So
I spent hours making characters in this game just for funsies. And
then and this was, I think, prior to Hyrule Warriors coming out, or if it was 2015, it might have been like right around the same time.
I think you had me play this in preparation for Hyrule Warriors.
Could have been. I mean, we decided to make a couple of like our characters as examples in. I mean, every time we play an Empires game that we like, we end up making 100 characters, because that's the joy of playing Empires is the fake characters, not the ones that are really from that game, but the ones that you make. So our example here was a steel tip variant and everything like that. And then we threw together like a couple of versions of, the characters with weapons and stuff like that. I think this would have been David, maybe? Probably. Sounds about right. So we were trying to, at one point when this all started, do like 3 April Fool's things at a time. It doesn't always work that way. 2016 rolled around. You'll see that I started doing things besides taking things private, and just moved it back 25 years, something like that. But Tellest 3000 was a big one that we committed to, because we actually had Francois create the logo and everything. So it's the year 2974. Riso Baran has just stepped out of a temporal ripple and found the last fragment of the orb from the void that cast him through time. What he doesn't expect is that his coming was expected. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it's fantastic reading it back. Tellest has become ravaged by war, and technology has become just as deadly as magic and the strain. And to make things worse, another race of evil beings is approaching from beyond the stars. The only hope for Tellest... Are you going back to what he doesn't expect is that it's coming? The only hope for Tellest's future is to gather heroes from the past. Reese is sent back in time, thanks to the reconstructed orb from the void. Once he arrives, he is tasked with finding great heroes to bring back to the future. What are you laughing at?
I'm still laughing at it. It's so funny.
Tellest's greatest champions travel 2,000 years forward and learn how to survive in the insanity that is a world of technology. But not all of the people who come through the new temporal rift are... I'm waiting for you to laugh again.
I'm good.
Are what the history books would consider heroes. Those with a dark streak have also jumped forward, including the nefarious Juramentato. Still, with the fate of the world out of his hands, he joins with Chaos and Adelia Cregan, Steeltip, and Hookland to save the world that he once tried to enslave. So anyway, the concept of this was like a sci-fi version of the Tellest universe, perhaps with a little bit of battle mix in with the mix. And you can see this on the art gallery. Like, we were such a big fan of how this all turned out that we really didn't keep it hidden in like in the shadows too much. Like, we very much kind of celebrate this kind of stuff. And I think especially with the new stuff that Incarnate's doing that allows for more like sci-fi elements, it would not be unheard of for us to entertain a version of Tellest that has sci-fi elements. It probably wouldn't be Tellest, but you would see elements of it.
It's not Tellest 3000.
No, it wouldn't be Tellest 3000. More likely what we would do is, instead of having it be 2,000 years into Tellest's future, it would be around... The way that I've always envisioned it, if we were going to do like a real version of this story, is it would be, instead of, however, the events that led to the convergence happening, it would be a different kind of like world-ending cataclysm that happens. So like, instead of Russia detonating a nuke, it would be China with biological warfare, or it would be North Korea with some kind of... China with biological warfare is something that we've kind of already experienced. But anyway, instead of a convergence event where Tellest and Earth, come together again, as expected, we would have a situation where 900 years in the future, there's various places in the world that are just completely uninhabitable, and you need to use some kind of
mech suit,
right, to move from one place to the next. And you can't tell in this, in the April Fool's art or anything like that, but these mechs are giant sized. It's not like a mechanical bodysuit. It's, like, there's some art somewhere where it's tiny little people next to those suits.
Make the characters big. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love the high fantasy turned sci-fi like element there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can definitely see like where various things kind of fit into place really nice. I feel like a tantrum is coming.
Tantrum loading from the doggy.
We have Steeltip as the sniper and everything like that. We have Hookland looking wraith-like and ghostly and everything, and we have Chaos, aka Luca, looking like the tanky kind of person who originally he was kind of built to be. Probably not anymore, but we wouldn't want everything to be a one-to-one anyway. So, are you okay, Luna? Do you want to come over here and say hello? Meanwhile, we got a very well put together doggy over there on the massage chair. Aw, did you hit your head, Pookie? What happened? All right, I feel like this is a good stopping point for a sponsor spot, so we're going to head over there and we'll come back on the other side with some more April Fool's content. And now, a word from our sponsors. A prolific up-and-coming sci-fi storyteller, Andrew Charles mixes a creative blend into his universe of galaxy-trotting adventures, the Coalition series. Not afraid to tackle any elements of the story, whether they're big and bombastic or narrower and more intimate, Charles ensures that readers always have a pleasant ride to look forward to. The author just released the 5th book in their series, The Way to Bane, and it takes paths less traveled and puts his characters through an emotional and thrilling wringer. Charles is at his best when he is diving deep into the ethos of any member of his cast, whether they're the heroes of the story or the villains you love to hate. Everyone is written with purpose and feels rich and real. If that sounds like the kind of sci-fi journey you've been looking for, don't wait. Check out our promo for The Way to Bane, the 5th book in the Coalition series, on the Tellest website today. Alright there, folks, we are back, and we're back with one of the most important April Fool's stories that we've ever told, and the one that really I think took the reins as far as the idea of, hey, this is fake, but it can become real. So this was from 2017, I want to say. I think it was 2017. We have April 1st, 2000 here, but 2017 sounds about right to me. So this was actually the very first iteration of where we had like the Calistrazi coming into the mix and things like that. I'm just going to read it off like I have been with everything else because everyone loves to hear my voice, and it's wonderful.
The king of humbleness and humility.
Humbleness. I am the most humblest. Warriors and rulers and the like made a mark on the world, but it was a special group of people known as the Calistrazi that really shaped Tellest into the place it had become. In those first few decades and centuries, the world was constantly at risk of danger thanks to the rifts that opened into various places. Dragons, demons, and the forces of darkness always kept Tellest on the brim of peril, but the Calistrazi met that danger head-on and kept the realms safe. As mysterious as the Calistrazi were, there are only a few who are known by name, and perhaps the most interesting one of them has shown up multiple times throughout history. But in order to know about his later exploits, it might be prudent to know about his meager beginnings. Life was harsh for the people of Black Lane after the Convergence. Many of the homes that were built were crude and unstable, and it took several generations for any semblance of security to be found. Even then, survival wasn't guaranteed. When a lad was found in a bassinet in the middle of a snowy field, no one knew for sure whether he was abandoned, or if his parents or guardians had been waylaid by vicious beasties and left the babe alone. Adopted by the town of Rosberg, the lad grew up to be as mischievous as he was charming. Bixby, a lad without a true family, was taught a little bit by everyone. The scamp ended up earning the respect and praise of everyone in Rosberg when he won the apprenticeship of a mighty wizard. Hanlon Aladocious officially took the lad in and taught him the arcane arts. When it became apparent that Bixby was a worthy successor, he even gave him something he had been left wanting for nearly 2 decades, a surname. The official heir of Hanlon, he went on many adventures, helping the wizard and his friends in Rosberg protect their little corners of the world as best they could. And Bixby learned of the great power in him as well, somehow turning up throughout history for at least 300 years. No one knows for sure how he managed to sustain himself for so long, but just the exploits that we know about make the tales of his adventure wondrous indeed, for he was
the supercalistrazi mystic Bixby Aladocious.
So that is basically I think our most popular and famous April Fool's story, and it's because it really did lead to, hey, like, these things that are jokey can become very real. We I think at the time when we were coming up with this, it was really just to, how do we make a play on, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and you were definitely the one who came up with the soundbite. I think Calistrazi, I think I came up with, and then from there we iterated around until
right.
And I don't even think at the time that we knew his power. Like, when we came up with this idea, and then I think we went from, all right, he's been around for 300 years. How is that? Is he just a wizard that lives really long? And then we came up with the idea of, this is just a guy who dies a lot. This was not the same art from that year, but it very much had the premise that we were going for, which I had always envisioned as Weekend at Bixby's. Just an idea of a character who can die as his power set. You kind of have that a little bit with like a Deadpool or a Wolverine, which is why you see elements of both characters here and their colors pattern. Excuse me, their color patterns. Hurts every time. You've got the Wolverine yellow, and you've got the Deadpool red and black, a little bit like that.
But the difference being is that they heal their original bodies,
right? And he basically reconstitutes a new body as he comes out of the afterlife, leaving his old body there for whatever measure happens.
More of a Kenny from South Park,
very
situation.
Very much so. And we've been lucky enough to tell a few stories with just Bixby, and then of course we've had him recently take pretty big billing in a full novel with The April's Fools, which a lot of people very much enjoy, and it's our award-winning book, so it's very high on the list of things that people enjoy.
It's a good book.
It's a good book. You should read it.
You should read it.
And actually, this next piece from, I believe this would have been 2018, would have been when we were talking about the April's Fools for the first time. So it would have been a year afterwards, and I guess we just had this idea for, I'm guessing if it was 2018, we must have seen Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy and everything like that.
Yeah, because the idea, I mean, The April's Fools became a full novel, but, like, the original idea was, what if people had, like, we had a ragtag team of heroes, but their powers were stupid.
Their power set was really
like,
bad.
Useless. Like, the one that we kind of morphed into, like, having healing abilities was originally the ointment.
Which you can see here. We
only help minor injuries.
So I don't remember that, like, actually going back and getting these names, but it looks like all the names that we originally set for them are the ones that we stuck with. So we have Frederick, who is very much your straight man, like he doesn't have any powers and everything like that, and he's just trying to train these people to be but we have
him and Bixby have a little bit of
a romance.
as
far as your head canon,
straight man.
they're a little bendy.
He's a little wiggly at the very least.
I feel like Bixby's bendy. Frederick is the straight man.
For now.
Even noodles are straight till they get wet.
Exactly.
So we have quicksand. Lionel has had a rough go of it over the last few years. He lost his father and then subsequently lost the man who took him in and treated him as a son. That man's biological son really does not care for Lionel and makes him sleep in the shed within the pig pen. Lionel plays along because he doesn't want people to know his secret, that he has the strain. Lionel has the ability to manipulate the earth, but only where he is standing. I think Spark is the only one whose like power set, like, name changed, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember calling her Spark or anything close to that when we were developing the book.
I want to circle back to Lionel real quick.
Yeah.
Because when you were talking about him having power, like, only where he's standing, I could not get the image of, like, the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar Earthbender scene out of my head.
Poor M. Night.
Go through all that stuff for, like, one tiny little boulder.
Me and M. Night Shyamalan are very good friends, so I feel like we can say this kind of stuff. I helped him. I helped him on Lady in the Water. I made sure that he didn't fall into the mud or anything like that. So I feel like he gets that this is all in good fun. So for Spark, again, I don't believe that we've ever called her Spark. I feel like Spark is kind of the opposite of her problem. Poor Mireille learned early on that her power was very destructive. After an accident at home in a city where people were already hateful of those with powers, she used fire magic by accident and burned a building down. To make matters worse, it was a building owned by her family, and she dreaded what her father would do to her if he found out. I broke sheep, but anyway. She ran and took up shelter far away. Since then, Mireille hasn't been able to use her powers effectively, due in no small part to the fact that the fire she summons burns her as well. So again, Spark doesn't really quite encompass how bad her power really is. And we have Bubbles. Kyra is a little bit different. The daughter of an elf and a gnome, the diminutive would-be hero doesn't contend with too much of a broken home compared to the other heroes. She lives with her father in a cabin in the woods, but he's overly protective and hasn't allowed her to live much of a life. But when adventure calls, she's ready to charge forth. Kyra has the ability to summon magical bubbles. So, and the reason we actually dove into this even further in the book, the idea that we came up with was elves in Tellest have a power set that they share between their tribe. So if you're in Kyra's mom's tribe, they all have the ability to, like, waterbend, basically. But because she's a half-elf, typically the way that a half-elf is supposed to work is if you were a human and an elf hybrid, you would have either a full use of your power, or you would have no access to your power whatsoever. The fact that it's a gnome parent means that she has kind of like an aberration of her power. So instead of having water powers, she has bubble powers. So I thought that was a cool way where we took a joke idea and really kind of world built around that idea. And then our final hero, who we haven't already met, is the Ointment, as Rihanna has said. So Nellie returns us to a tragic character who has pretty much lost everything. She's on her own out in the wilderness trying to survive as best she can when she's discovered. And when Frederick finds her, she instantly takes to the group and explains her power. She can heal anyone, but she can only take away the sting of their pain. I'm sorry, she can't heal anyone. but she can take away the sting of their pain. So imagine someone like Maria who's burning herself alive, and Nellie just goes up to her and goes, "It's okay," and she's like, "This is fine." Basically, the dog meme.
The dog meme with everything.
With all the fire and everything. So, and then of course we have the wizard who people will know just from the image up here is Bixby Aladocious. This is not our only time taking a popular meme and Tellestifying it. So we've had a couple of other images over the years. You had said that I should be using the little wizard meme. So we have that guy. Good times. All right, so let's keep it going. This was so for people who actually go to the Tellest newsletter and things like that. I don't do it too often on the website anymore, but I will typically go into on the newsletter like maybe every 6 months or so. How is Tellest doing? Like, what projects are we working on? What can you expect in the next couple of months? And we call it the State of Tellest. And I had been doing it pretty frequently, and then I thought, well, let's do some time travel when it comes to the State of Tellest. So we talked about the Tellest cinematic universe. So this is 30 years in the future from when I started working on this, and it was a situation that was going to be like, the MCU, but it was going to be the Tellest cinematic universe. What is some of this stuff? Who's Eliza? A lot of weird stuff. Legends of Tellest was going to be the Black Furnace Games MMO version of Tellest, and then we had Tellest Tech. This is, I think, one of the more fun ones. A new line of augmenters is going to be on sale just in time for my birthday. Now you can pop one of those shiny silver buttons on your temple, and with a touch of the button, your friends won't be able to tell the difference between you and Garen Bloodaxe, who does not exist. Like, I'm just making characters up at this point. The augmenter will project out a new face for you and change the sound of your voice so that you'll really sell the idea. Or maybe you want to be the sweet and innocent Liliana. And of course, who doesn't want to be the grizzled old veteran Anson Physis, who is not anything old or grizzled. So just goofy little ideas.
It's basically the Apple VR glasses.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's fine.
Yep.
No
So
big deal.
I for this one, I tried to predict where we would be 20 years from now and see if I was right in calling it out. So, and this is the one that we'll leave you with today. You know what we didn't do? Tellest Babies. Tellest Babies must have fallen through the cracks in one of the years that we were looking at, but we'll try and remember Tellest Babies for next time.
For sure.
So Beware Bears obviously is kind of a play on Care Bears. So we had originally had art made for the male and female werebears of the Tellest universe, and I just took clip art, threw them together on these poor bears' bodies, and made silly little storylines for them and everything like that. So shall I?
It's awesome.
Shall I go into who these characters are?
Do it.
So Bramble Bear is the de facto leader of the Beware Bears. She can summon the power of the Lumabug forest to her beck and call, using the mighty vines of the sin oak trees to entrap any who would endanger the forest. She's cocky for sure, but it's an attitude that's certainly been earned. So we've got the little viney thorn thing there. And then we've got this guy with a little butterfly tattoo on his belly. Next up, we have Flutter Bear. This guy might seem big and scary, but he's actually the tamest and nicest of the bunch. The Lumabug Forest is kind of a misnomer because there are a bunch of awesome wildlife that live in the woods, and Flutter Bear has an affinity for one species in particular, rainbow flutters. When he activates his power, he can coerce a swarm of the magical butterflies to do his bidding. On their own, the little bugs don't realize they have magical power, but with his instructions, they become a force to be reckoned with. And then we have, this is, I think, one of my favorites. So I tweaked some of the art that we had so that it looks like she's just carrying torches. Obviously, just the same bear from the first one, but this is M Bear. Kind of a fire keg. She's not the calmest of the group, and she's really easy to set off. Still, she's very loving and loyal, and her attitude is more often seen as funny than worrisome. When the Beware Bears first discovered her power, there was a lot of worry that she might burn down the whole Lumabug forest. As it turns out, though, M-Bear's magical fire doesn't do any damage to the trees or the animals in the woods. That's a relief. Fun fact, he thinks she doesn't know, but M-Bear has noticed that Flutter Bear has some affection toward her. Ooh! And then we have this guy with the weird little swirly thing, and I think that swirly thing is the same one that we used for the portal in our D&D campaign. This is Void Bear. With his mighty power, he can pull those who would harm the forest into a frightening black hole. It doesn't hold people permanently, but it does take them out of commission. The only problem is, it drains poor Void Bear and he gets so sleepy. Hibernation much? I think...
I mean, I'd watch this show.
Right. And doesn't he kind of remind you of the guy from Inuyasha?
Moroku?
Yeah.
That's probably where we got the inspiration, because I think around that time we were watching that too.
And I think from this year, if there was anything that I would want to become real, it would be the Beware Bears.
They're super cute.
So maybe when I'm doing State of Tellest 2047, we'll talk about how this is in its 5th season or something.
I just love, it is I, Flutter Bear.
Well, that is going to wrap us up for today. Let's hit the follow button so that people know to follow, and then let's head over to our closing the show page.
Do the man want his Chalky Milk?
The man do want his Chalky Milk.
I want the Chalky Milk.
You want the Chalky Milks? Yeah. So on the screen right now, you shouldn't see Chalky Milk, but you should see all the places that you can find Tellest out there on the internet. We've been spending a lot of time on the Tellest website today, so go to tellest.com if you want to see some other content. We do weekly art posts, and then anytime we have a big project that we're talking about, we'll release that information there as well. There's a couple of places online that you can find premium Tellest content. Patreon.com/Tellest is where you can find our battle maps, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we now have our art posts that show up well in advance of the website. Our website has got things scheduled all the way until like the middle of 2027, but Patreon is very close to like the end, because anytime we get new art, we usually put that up. And then tellest.etsy.com is where you can find physical premium goods. We've got jumbo battle maps, and we've got stickers, bookmarks, the art book, the Quantum Quest tabletop games, and Rihanna's magic wands. Speaking of which, you can go to tiktok.com/@weirdwitchwands to see videos of those wands when Rihanna's done putting them together. And it gives you a nice, real up-close look at those wands. And you should move fast on those if you want to get those, because we are going to sell all of them out at Fan Expo in the middle of or in the beginning of May. And then the other TikTok channel, we had a little bit of an addition with our tantrum dog Luna earlier today. You can see more of her and her sisters on tiktok.com/@TalesOfTellest, Tails like a dog's waggy bit. And then the last two places that I'll bring your attention to are our YouTube channel and our Twitch channel. YouTube is where you're going to want to go after Twitch purges the videos when I have them up too long. That's youtube.com/@WorldOfTellest. And if you want to go to Twitch to see us live and comment with us while we're actually doing the discussions and the maps and stuff like that, you can join us at twitch.tv/ThatTellestGuy. As you can tell by the scratchiness of my voice, it is time to call it quits for the evening, but I appreciate anyone who's seeing this video after we post it, and the you who's been watching it live.
Yay!
Yay! And we'll miss you.